Several human rights groups have called on Nigerian youth to act as advocates of human rights in the light of gross human rights abuses being witnessed in the country. The director of the United Nations Information Center in Nigeria, Ronald Kayanja, made this call during a dialogue with youth in Abuja, saying citizens should lend their support to champion the cause of human rights in order to achieve a more inclusive society. Kayanja challenged young Nigerians to stand for their rights and help monitor human rights violations in the society.
That's one of the reasons we are here, to listen to the young people, because we know young people can act as advocates for human rights. Young people need to know about their rights, and also young people can help us to monitor human rights. Young people can tell. One of the things we want to get out of here is a system, what you can call a report card on the human rights situation in the country. We should not only be getting report cards on human rights from international organizations only. In the United Nations, we are interested in the observance and respect for human rights, but we want that monitoring of human rights to also be done by young people in this country, because they feel when their rights are violated, or they feel when they are not fully enjoying the rights they are entitled to. So this is one of the reasons we are having this event today. Yes, one of the things, I've had a number of things. One of the things they have talked about is the education. Young people need to know more about the education, about human rights. And that's one of the responsibilities really of the National Human Rights Commission, and I'm glad they are also here to address that. The other challenge, of course, with young people is the right to a decent employment. That is a fundamental human rights, and we need to do more, both within the government and organizations like the United Nations, to ensure that young people get decent employment. Another thing they have talked about there is access to education. While the government is doing a lot, certainly a lot more needs to be done, because you cannot be fully empowered if you don't have adequate education. And then you may not enjoy your fundamental human rights if you are not well educated. The other thing we actually are concerned about are the implications to human rights when you come to digital technology, when you come to new technologies. And we hope that as we discuss with young people, we'll ensure that new technologies don't lead to a violation of human rights. We talk about things like hate speech. We talk about things like dis and misinformation. So digital technology is, yes, important, but we think young people can help us not to violate other people's rights using these digital technologies. So I hope all these issues will come up, and then after this we'll have some kind of plan of action. As you've heard, our plan is not only to be in Abuja, but to have these discussions all over the country with the young people.
We are working towards the UN. We believe in the potential of the future generation, and the SDGs also, and the USG Call for Action on Human Rights recognizes the contribution young people have made to peace and security, whether it's to climate change, whether it's combating discrimination. And as the UDHR also stipulates, all young people have a right to participate and to contribute to issues that affect their lives. Well, I think Nigeria is a state party to all the core conventions of the human rights, and that's 9 of them, and it's an active member of the UN. And I think efforts have been made. There have been progress. On Friday during the Human Rights Dialogue, the UN resident coordinator highlighted some of the progress that has been made over the last year in Nigeria on human rights. Of course, there remain challenges. As globally, we are facing many challenges, whether it's in terms of the impacts of COVID on fiscal space for member states, whether it's related to climate change, whether it's the financial sector. There are many issues that are happening at the global stage, and that we are here to support and to work closely with the government of Nigeria for them to be able to meet on their human rights obligation as a partner. And we do this we have a cooperation framework that we have signed that will guide the work of the UN and the government from 2023, and this is how we intend to achieve Agenda 2030.
The Nigerian government have not done enough to protect the rights of the citizens, because most times we see a lot of things being done should I say, more of lip services. Most things are just being done for social media recognitions. But then not so much work is done to make sure that the grassroots are being affected positively. And what should be done differently is one, it is not enough that you organize conferences and seminars, bringing people that will just come, listen, and go. More work should be done into implementations of lots of these principles, lots of these laws that are being promulgated for humanity. And not just making laws. When you implement the laws, it goes a long way to changing the lives of the public, of which these laws are made for. We should also take into consideration the fact that we have women, girls, and children that are forming the most vulnerable people in the society. Most of these laws should be aimed at making sure that women and girls, their rights are protected. At the same time, children are given the chances and opportunities to go to school, not just going to school, but to live as normal human beings in the country and in society.